Chapter 8, the Jefferson Era. Section 2, the Louisiana Purchase. In this section, you're going to learn three main things. First, as American settlers moved west, control of the Mississippi River became more important to the United States. Second, the Louisiana Purchase almost doubled the size of the United States. And third, expeditions led by Lewis, Clark, and Pike increased Americans' understanding of the West. Let's get started. Okay, American settlers moved west. Thousands of Americans had settled between the Appalachian Mountains, which you can see in the map there, and the Mississippi River by the 1800s. Because of the mass transit to the west, three territories became states. Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio were admitted as states. Now, because they lived out in this western area, they will depend on the Mississippi River and the Ohio River to move their products to eastern markets. Again, settlers depended on the Mississippi River and the Ohio rivers to move products east. If you follow my pointer, here's the Mississippi River, right there, and here's the Ohio River. So, by following those two rivers, that's how they got their goods to the east. Now, one of the major problems, and we've talked about this in the previous chapter, was the port of New Orleans. Here it is right down here. Jefferson, the president, worried about foreign control of New Orleans. Spain had control of it at one point. France has had control of it. We talked in the last section that Spain got a little disappointed in the United States, and they closed the port of New Orleans to us when there was a border dispute between the U.S. and Florida. Jefferson didn't want that to happen again. Spain controlled both New Orleans and Louisiana at this time, which stretched. The Louisiana Territory now was all this wide here, so it stretched from the Mississippi River all the way out to the Rocky Mountains. Now, in a secret treaty, Spain is going to give that Louisiana Territory to France. France was the original owners of it, and then Spain took over it, and now Spain has, kind of in a trick way, giving it back to France. France kind of tricked them into giving it back to them. Now, the leader of France at the time was a guy named Napoleon Bonaparte, and his goal was to rebuild the French Empire in North America. If you remember, a few chapters ago, when we were just forming the colonies, France had control of much of the land in North America, especially up in the northern and western parts. Now it's called New France. Of course, it was lost at the French and Indian War. Napoleon wants to rebuild that in North America. So he's kind of getting those things arranged. However, it kind of gets derailed. A rebellion in the tiny country of Haiti. Here's Haiti right over here. It's the second half of this island with the Dominican Republic. That's going to end his dream in 1802. It was a rebellion led by a slave named Toussaint L'Ouverture. And eventually Haiti's going to gain its independence, but it did cost a lot of money. And that's going to hurt Napoleon forming his French Empire in North America. Now, Jefferson knew that Napoleon needed money because not only was he dealing with this rebellion in Haiti, but they were also fighting a war in Europe. And Jefferson knew France needed money. So Jefferson sent some American ambassadors over to France to try to negotiate with Napoleon to buy New Orleans. Just New Orleans. They wanted that port for the United States so they could make sure or be assured that the Mississippi River would always remain open. So when the ambassadors met with Napoleon, or the French, they offered to sell not only New Orleans, but all of the Louisiana Territory to the United States for money to help finance his war. The price tag was $15 million. Now, for me, that's a lot of money. But for that large piece of land, that was a bargain for that time period. The Louisiana Purchase was approved by the Senate on October 20th, 1803. Now, the importance of this is that it will double the size of the United States. Here's what the United States was before the Louisiana Purchase, and it's doubled with this green area. Explorers head west. Jefferson's bought this new land, knows nothing about it. And so he's going to send an expedition team to go explore the Louisiana Purchase. The expedition was led by two men, a former Army captain named Meriwether Lewis, and then Lewis chose a good friend of his, Lieutenant William Clark, to co-lead the expedition. Also on board with the expedition were about 50 skilled frontiersmen. The expedition, or the Corps of Discovery, will begin in St. Louis, or near St. Louis, on May 1st, 1804. And they will begin the long journey across the Louisiana Purchase. They will reach the Pacific Ocean in November of 1805. Along the way, Lewis will use interpreters to talk to leaders of Native American tribes that they met, or any kind of people that they met. He told the Native Americans that the U.S. now owned this land on which they lived. They came across a Shoshone woman named Sacagawea, who will help them as a guide across these lands and as an interpreter to different tribes across Louisiana. Zebulon Pike, an Army officer, led another expedition to the west in 1806. His goal was to explore the southwestern parts of the Louisiana Territory. He explored the area near the western border of the Louisiana Territory with New Spain. In fact, Zebulon Pike did manage to cross over into New Spain and was eventually captured. He walked into the present-day Rocky Mountains, which would be currently in Colorado. Again, he traveled into Spanish territory and was arrested. But the interesting thing about that is that he actually made friends with many of his captors, and will eventually, once he's released, travel back and visit with them. Zebulon Pike's report offered Americans the first description of the American Southwest. As you can see in the map, the blue areas show where Zebulon Pike traveled. The end.